Rachmaninoff vividly demonstrates the romantic focus on inner passions and struggles in his magnificent 6 choruses for women, which he wrote in 1895. We heard one of the choruses this morning as our anthem. We'll hear all 6 later this afternoon at the Musica Viva concert. The text of the chorus, titled Night, articulates the melancholy and hope that the music conveys. Now the nighttime with her wings so dark hovers over our sleeping sphere. Somewhere a mournful song sadly drifts, darkly clouded with a tear. Go away, you melancholy tune. Soon the dark of night shall pass, and a rising victorious day shall bring people happiness. So the weary earth shall be refreshed after sleeping the night through by a crimson sunrise glistening on a cloudless sky of blue. At its best, music expresses with sounds and images what we cannot express in words alone. Music is the language of the heart. In the late 1950s, Leonard Bernstein and the New York Philharmonic performed a series of young people's concerts. One was titled, What Does Music Mean? Early in the program, Bernstein stands at the piano before an audience of children and teenagers and asks them, did you ever feel you wanted something more than anything else in the world? And you said so. And they said, no, you can't have it. And you said again, I want it. And again they said, no. And again you said, louder and more excited, I want it. And louder, I want it. Until it seemed that something in your head would break and there is nothing left to do but cry. Well, that's like this music. Listen. On the piano, Bernstein begins playing that powerful and haunting crescendo about 10 or 11 minutes into the first movement of Tchaikovsky's Fourth Symphony. At the end of each rising phrase, Bernstein sings along, I want it, first in single time, then as the music quickens in double time. I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it. As the musical crescendo rises in both pitch and volume, Bernstein's voice cracks, then falls to a lower octave as he pounds the piano in an increasing frenzy, still moaning, I want it, I want it. Then he says abruptly, and finally something in your head breaks, more pounding on the piano, and you cry. And he lifts his baton to conduct the Philharmonic in playing the same passage, and he says to the audience, see if you feel something like those emotions. To Bernstein, that's what music means. Music lives in that deep place within us where emotion holds sway. Music enables us to feel deeply those emotions within our hearts and souls, and to sense through them our connections to the people and world around us. Indeed, the only significant criticism of Bernstein as a conductor was his willingness to respond more to the emotion of a piece than to the tempo and volume markings of the composer. For Bernstein, however, if you don't discover the emotional energy in a composition, everything else is just notes on a page. In other words, the emotion in a piece of music isn't the main thing, it's the only thing. I want it. I want it. I want it. Emotion, passion, Beethoven, Mahler, even the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the percussive beat of street gangs, the rhythm of anti-war chants. Wherever there was passion, there Bernstein found rhythm and melody. And all those elements made their way into his music. Walter Klaus, our minister of music, agrees. The notes on the page are the form of the music, Wally says. The emotional content comes from within, from the deep places where the notes resonate with our experience. Wally adds, getting the notes right is often not the hard part. What's difficult is using the notes to express what you feel within, which is where the substance of music, its vitality, comes from. In his Norton Lectures on the Future of Music at Harvard in 1976, Bernstein argues that music is inherently tonal, that is, made up of intervals. And the intervals between tones have emotional import. It's like the intervals that span the other spaces in our lives, the spaces between siblings or spouses or lovers, the interval between what we long for and what we fear, the distance between the person we are at the office and the person we are at home, the gap that separates our aspirations from our accomplishments, or the fissure between our beliefs about life and our behavior in it. As with musical intervals, what matters in each case is not the actual size of those intervals, but the expectations they create and the feelings they produce. The composer's art, no matter the genre, is to take all the notes in the repertoire, all the relationships, and with them make sounds that convey the full range of emotional possibilities. Music expresses anguish as well as aspiration, tragedy as well as triumph, despair as well as delight. The art of living is to do the same. Listen to the music that resonates from the relationships that make up your life. Decide whether it expresses what you really want. If not, then make a change. Listen to your life. Do you hear anguish in your life? Like Lady Gaga expresses in Alejandro? Maybe you need to walk away from something. Do you hear triumph in your life? Like the Foo Fighters express in Learning to Fly? Maybe you need to celebrate something. Do you hear laughter in your life? Like Brad Paisley elicits in his witty song titled Ticks? Maybe you need to laugh about something. Do you hear something terrible in your life or in our world? Like Billie Holiday describes in her bitter anthem, Strange Fruit. Maybe you need to denounce something. Do you hear the eternal rhythm of the sublime in your life, like Schubert captures in his piano sonatas? Maybe your world has gotten too small. Do you hear a beckoning mystery in your life, like Palestrina captures in his Vespers? Maybe your world has gotten too predictable. Listen to the music. Listen to your life. If you don't like what you hear, make a change. Ask yourself what you really want. I got a feeling that today's going to be a good day. Today's the day. Let's live it up. Amen. I love you. May God bless us all.